Someone recording. Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Tigertales Toastmasters, last meeting of the month. We are talking about tonight, letting us hit the road is the theme. And one way that I've seen this happen in our Toastmasters journey is I was thinking about in the beginning of the journey, it feels like I was just pulling out of the driveway or pulling out of a parking lot, and that was the beginning of this road trip on Toastmasters. Then as the years went on, I finally made it around the block, and now I think I might be on the highway, hoping not to exit anytime soon, but hoping to get to a super highway soon. As we move into today's meeting, I asked the speakers as well as some of the people who have roles tonight about what a favorite road trip is that they've taken. One of the favorite ones that I've had to experience was back in 2000. I did an internship on an Indian reservation out in Arizona, and my dad drove with me out to Arizona. It took a couple of days, and it was probably a breakthrough trip for us because I was not very close to my dad growing up, and I had the opportunity to get to know him better on that trip and really learned how to ask him better questions and learn more about his life more than I had ever before. So it was a breakthrough trip, and I was really grateful for it. And then my mom flew out and drove back with me on the way back when I came home 3 months later. So it was a wonderful trip. Lots of great things to see, but I think the conversations were what I remember as being the most impactful. As we move forward in our meeting, we're going to introduce some functionaries that we have for tonight. It's changed a little bit if you have an agenda to follow. But our first functionary I'm going to introduce is going to be our timer. And our timer for tonight is Chris. So Chris, if you could remind us about the role that you have and the times that we'll be looking for prepared speeches tonight. Chris?
Yes, hi everybody. My name is Chris. I'm from the Pinnacle Toastmasters. And for the speeches, there's 3 speeches tonight. The first and third speech will be 3 to 4 minutes. I do believe 1 minute, I'll hold up the red. Please correct me if I'm not doing this right. The yellow at 3 minutes.
At 3 minutes, you want to hold the green card.
The green minute is at 4 minutes. No. The yellow is at how many minutes?
3 minutes and 30 seconds.
3 minutes, 30 seconds, and the red is
4 minutes.
Yes. Green is first. That's it. 2 minutes. I'm sorry, I'm new to this.
It's okay. So for our second speaker will be 5 to 7 minutes. So at 5 minutes, you'll hold up the green. At
5 minutes, the green.
6 minutes, the yellow.
The yellow.
And 7 minutes, the red.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much for stepping into this role tonight for us. We're really excited to have you here tonight, as well as Karen, who's also a Toastmaster in another club. Our next functionary I'd like to introduce tonight is going to be our counter, who's going to be Ajita. Ajita, can you explain your role to us?
Sure. I will be looking for all the filler words for the prepared speeches and for evaluations and also the table topics. I'll be looking for all the words which take up so much from your speech, like so. And I would suggest that you can take a pause when you are generally using a filler word. You can always take a pause and avoid those filler words and continue with your speech. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Ajita. And our final functionary for tonight is our grammarian. And our grammarian tonight is going to be Preetam. Preetam, can you explain your role for us tonight?
My role as a grammarian today will be to check for the usage of English grammar for all the speakers and functionaries. I will be also keeping an ear out for people who use the word of the day, which is escapade. You see on top of me. The word means an act involving excitement or something daring. To use it in an example sentence, it would be, we are planning for a little hiking escapade for the Memorial Day long weekend. So I will be looking for that use of the word, even for the prepared speeches. If you can slip it into your speeches, that would be wonderful, but definitely for table topics and all other speakers. And with that, back to you, Kelly.
Thank you so much, Preetam. We're looking forward to hearing that word used tonight. And the first thing I think of is Escapade is a song by Janet Jackson from the 80s. If you haven't heard it yet, you should listen to it. It's wonderful. Although I like Michael better. Anyways, on to our prepared speeches for tonight. Our first speaker that we are honored to hear tonight is going to be Bhakti, and her evaluator is going to be Alex. So Alex, if you could explain to us what we'll be looking for from Bhakti's speech tonight in your role.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Tonight, Bhakti is going to be working on an elective speech, which is a social speech, and she's going to be honoring someone tonight. And so we'll be looking for all the ways that she can make the speech more personable and relatable and help us to get to know the person that she's honoring. And her title for tonight is An Ode to Samaritan. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Alex. And I asked Bhakti about a favorite road trip that she's taken. She said she took a trip to Cherry Springs in Pennsylvania, a stargazing spot, with a bunch of people she didn't know at the time. It was a 5-hour late night drive, and she got to know so much about them in that journey. The destination turned out to be the best she's ever seen, and she's never seen so many stars or planets in the sky in her life. The funny part was that she planned the trip just 30 minutes before, and it was just to utilize the rental car for the complete 24 hours they borrowed it for. What an escapade. That sounds like a wonderful trip. And thank you for sharing that with us, Bhakti. So tonight's Bhakti speech, as Alex mentioned, is called An Ode to a Samaritan. An Ode to a Samaritan, Bhakti.
Doctor Who currently has their 13th doctor, who is a female. And as you know, this doctor is very chatty, but a kind-hearted individual who never refuses to help anyone in need. How many of you knew this fact? I didn't, because I don't really watch Doctor Who. I just read this line from a wiki. But the reason I even know about this show is because we have this individual in our club who has similar traits to this doctor and keeps bringing it up in the conversation. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests, can you guess who this individual is? You won't be getting a chocolate for getting the right answer, but the woman is Sarah Francis. I met her at Tigertales Toastmaster, and initially, I used to be a silent spectator, sitting at the corner and doing this for weeks. But Sarah was one of the first person who convinced me to go ahead and give my first speech. I was also very nervous around the elite speakers of the club, but Sarah just knew the right words to make me feel comfortable while communicating with other club members. She would also visit my house, which at the time I shared with Chitra. And we would have these quirky conversation as if we have been friends for a very long time, sipping tea that Chitra had lying around. Sarah is also a knitting queen, and you would almost always see her knitting something or the other. She's very good at it too. If you blink your eyes for a second, she might have completed a quarter of a tablecloth. I think secretly she's also mending time. If I have to call someone a bookworm, it has to be Sarah. Because of her, I finally finished reading 1984, which I have been trying to finish for the last 2 years. And what an amazing book it turned out to be. I'm so glad I finally finished reading it. I also plan to finish reading the other books that have been piling up on my shelf. If you need an excellent book recommendation, you know who to contact. Also, because of her recommendation, I have started practicing gratitude. And doing this has made me view my life in a different yet positive perspective. I have started growing an appreciation for the things I have, but also the things I don't have. But not only has she given me recommendations outside the club, she is my mentor in the club. She has been shaping me to be the speaker that I am today. And thanks to her, the biggest achievement I had this year was winning the area contest. She is definitely one of the most generous, caring, funny, knowledgeable, and talented individual you will meet in your lifetime. It is very hard to give a return gift to someone like Sarah. But if I could give a gift, I would give her this. Maybe not in this universe, in a parallel universe. But for now, I still have some tea lying around. We can get together, Sarah, and have our own escapades, just not on TARDIS. Madam Toastmaster.
Wonderful, honorable speech for Sarah from Bhakti tonight. Thank you so much. If each of us could take 1 minute, and Chris, if you could time us for 1 minute, let us know when that's up, and we could write some love notes or comments on the chat to Bhakti privately and let her know what you thought of her speech. So Chris, just let me know when a minute's up, please.
I see that Scott has raised his hand. Did you have something to say, Scott?
Yes, I wanted to make a comment to Bhakti. If I first of all, if I pronounced her name right.
Mhm.
Secondly, she did a great job. I had signed operation, but when is the next Toastmaster meeting?
Scott,
All done.
it might be best for you to hold your questions until the end of the meeting. And if you want to give
gotta
Bhakti some feedback about her speech, you can do that in the chat.
Well, I hit the drop. I'm saying, but I said if you was the next meeting, that I can
I
come
see.
to it for that.
We meet every week, so we'll meet again next Wednesday.
Everyone, a good night.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for joining, Scott.
End meeting or leave meeting.
And our next speaker for tonight is going to be Hassan. He is going to be evaluated by Ruchi. Ruchi, as his evaluator, if you could tell us about what we'd be looking for with Hassan's speech tonight.
Hi, everyone. Hassan is going to be pursuing his level 3 project on leadership. He's on the leadership development pathway. His project is planning and implementing, and his speech would be 5 to 7 minutes on a small project that he conducted some weeks ago. So over to you, Kelly.
Thank you, Ruchi. And for Hassan, I asked him about a road trip that he took that was a favorite. He said his favorite road trip was in December of 2019, Janvier 2020 to January 2020, sorry, when with three friends, I said it in French maybe, when with 3 friends, he went from Newark to Las Vegas, where he celebrated the New Year's Eve. It was full of laughter, fun, and some unpredictable events. He didn't tell me what those were, but it sounds like a wonderful road trip, and I'm glad he had that experience. As well as him and Bhakti, the experience of graduating. Congratulations. And tonight, the title of his project speech is My Project, Hassan.
In the beginning, it's my project. Then it becomes ours. I have heard this quote from Ahmad, a member of my first Toastmaster club in Niger. He uses this quote to explain that a project usually comes from the idea of one individual who brings others to reach a common goal. My idea some weeks ago was to fly to the moon, but I was short of money and I couldn't make this small step for a man on the moon. Instead, I told my friend, guys, let's go to Niagara Falls on Saturday. You may think that an excursion to Niagara Falls is so easy, but when you are going with a group of friends, you may need some skills that the Toastmaster education program teaches about managing projects. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, and I would like to share with you today about how I conducted a project with some friends to the Niagara Falls on the 4th of April. Especially, I would like to talk about how I managed the team of the project. For every project, whatever the size or the objective, you need resources. In our cases, we only need cars to take us there, food and drinks for the picnic. So we didn't have really a budget, as we only needed money to pay for gas. So the project had 2 important steps. The first one was having at least 4 people going 2 weeks ahead. And the second objective is to make sure that we have enough cars at least 1 week before the event. But for me, as I said, the most important part of this project was to have a team that would help me to organize this escapade. So I relied on 2 people. The first one was Neat. Neat, she loves excursions, hiking and road trips. She has visited all the beautiful places in upstate New York and in many states in the US. I knew that she always had good ideas about interesting places to visit and fun activities to do. And this is exactly what I asked her to do in this project. And she came up with good ideas. For instance, having a picnic to Niagara Fort, the Fort Niagara. I didn't know this fort before. And she was also the one who recommended to go to Anchor Bar in Buffalo to eat some chicken wings. She probably knows that I love chicken wings. She also made some recommendation, for instance, to create a WhatsApp group in order to share information with everybody going. The second person I relied on was Gina. Like Nit, she also loves traveling and discovering places. She recently came back from Alaska and Wyoming. What I love with Gina is the fact that she has such energy to motivate people. And this is exactly what I asked her to do, because I tried in February to go to Niagara Falls with my friends, but I didn't make it because people were busy with their assignments and job interviews and so on. So Gina also helped me to know how many people are going and to make sure we have enough cars to go there. And my job as a project manager was to keep track of the people going and also those who are dropping for different reasons, and also manage communication to make sure that everybody knows the plan, and most importantly, to remind people something: wear a face mask. So we finally made it to the Niagara Falls, and I would say that we reached these objectives, which was to take a break from Rochester, from our assignments, and had the whole day with friends to have fun. So we visited the Niagara Falls, and we went to the Fort Niagara where we had a picnic, and we played soccer for 5 minutes. I was expecting guys to play for more time, but like in any project, you can never predict what people are going to do. Personally, I was satisfied because I reached my objective, which was to organize these projects to go to Niagara Falls with my friends. I also had fun. And something I really enjoy was meeting Will. Will is a student at the St. John Fisher College. He's studying history. So we went in the same car and we spent hours talking about the history of the US, from the Civil War to the Cold War. As someone who loves history, I couldn't ask for more. It was nice meeting Will, who's a funny guy, but also I think he's a little bit crazy. But something I didn't fail to do with this project was to do a brainstorming to identify all the things that can impede us from reaching our objective. I would like to talk about just one thing. Will was supposed to give us a ride to Buffalo, but 2 days before the departure, I heard that he was going to have his second shot of the COVID vaccine on Friday. So he could have gotten sick, like many people do when they have their second shot. And I was in a situation where I didn't know what to do, because without Will, we couldn't have enough people. We couldn't have enough seats to go there. And I found myself crossing my fingers, wishing that he would be well. And finally, he didn't get sick, and he gave us the ride to the Niagara Falls. And it's something important. Every time you are managing a project, always do a brainstorming. Identify the objectives, the obstacles that can impede you from reaching your objective. It was my project, but I couldn't have made it without the help of my friends. And for me, this is the takeaway from this small project that I conducted. When we are managing projects, we are often tempted to manage it from the beginning to the end alone. But when we bring the right people, we have more ideas. And this is when the project becomes more interesting. And this is something I wish all of us will take away from this project that I managed. Madam Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Hassan, for that wonderful speech, and I'm so glad you made it to Niagara Falls finally, and thanks for the speech details on that. If everyone could take 1 minute and give him some feedback. Chris, if we could have another minute on the timer and let me know when that's up. Thank you.
All done.
Thank you, Chris. Our final speaker for tonight for the prepared speeches will be Destin, and his evaluator will be Deb. Deb, if you could let us know what we'll be looking for in Destin's speech tonight.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. So tonight, Destin is doing an elective project called a social speech, and it's through the Innovative Pathway, Level 3. He wants me to pay attention specifically to body language, vocal variety, and pace. Because of how short the 3 to 4 minute time frame is, he wants me to, look at pace, but I think also how he tells the story in a concise manner.
Thank you, Deb. And I asked Dustin the same thing about a favorite road trip he's taken. He said that in 2019, he took a road trip with a couple named Louise and Brian Hogan. They visited Missouri, Kansas, and Oklahoma. He went to the geographical point where those 3 states meet. Very cool. I'm glad you got to take that trip. The title of Destin's speech tonight is The Strongest Woman Ever. The Strongest Woman Ever, Destin.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. We all have our heroes, right? Whether it is an iconic person in history, a fictional character, or even our parents. My hero is a woman, a small, fragile, but strong old woman named Harriet. Not Harriet Tubman, even though she has all the requirements to qualify as a hero, but Harriet Kutuma, my grandmother on my mom's side of the family. Despite her old age, my grandma relied on nobody but herself to provide food on her table. She had a small piece of land where she would grow peanuts, and out of those peanuts, she would make salted peanuts that she would put in a bottle, or roasted peanuts that she would wrap in a paper, and she would sell those to earn money. It is actually with that activity that she raised her children. When I say she had a small piece of land, don't think that it was in her backyard. It was 2.5 miles away from her house, and she would walk that distance. She was definitely an athlete. She would leave before the sunset and get back home after the sun. She would leave before the sunrise and get back home after the sunset. All my life, I never seen her or even heard of her being sick, not even a single time. But the reason why I see her as my hero or the strongest woman ever is because, in addition of what I've just mentioned, my grandmother saved my life, along with many other people's lives as well. When I was 4, there was a war in my country. My mom, my grandmother, my siblings, and I had to move from the capital city to another city where it was safer. And along the journey, we were hiding in a small house. One morning, the rebels were passing by that house, firing their guns in the air. My little brother, who was 2 at the time, started to cry loudly. And despite my mom's effort to cover his mouth, there was nothing to do. Our presence was noticed by the rebels. And soon enough, that small house was surrounded by the rebels, who started firing at the house. I remember hiding under a table with my mom and my siblings. The other people were hiding in the bedrooms beneath the bed. But my grandmother sneaked close to the window she tried to see who was firing at us. Maybe she thought that she was bulletproof. My mom told her, "Come back here, you stupid old lady. You're gonna get killed." And she said, "Don't bother me. I want to see who's firing at us." And at one point, those rebels stopped firing. My grandmother took her courage, opened the door, went outside, and started to talk with those people. I don't know what she told them, but it was enough to make them leave and leave us at peace. That day, she saved my life and the lives of all the people in that house. I never had the opportunity to say thank you to her. She passed away in 2015. And today I wanted to honor her life and to say thank you for what she did for me and all those people. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
What a tribute. Thank you, Destin. That was really powerful, and what a brave woman she was. If we could have 1 minute, Chris, to give Destin some feedback on that.
All done.
Thank you, Chris. And that completes our prepared speeches for this evening. We're going to move into the next portion of our meeting, which is table topics. And our table topics master today is going to be Hunan. I asked Hunan about what a favorite road trip he's been on is, and he said there was one time that he drove from Rochester to California. He said he enjoyed the trip and he spent several days on the road. He loved all the scenery he saw and the people that he got to meet along the way. Hunan, if you could explain to us your role and lead us into table topics.
Yeah. Thank you, Kelly. And let's get started. Let's hit the road for table topics. For this section, I will ask a question and you give an answer by giving a short speech. So it's totally impromptu and everyone is welcome to join. And no matter whether you are a club member or you are totally a guest. So you're welcome to join. And before that, let's have our timer, Christine, to explain the timing rules for us.
Yes, hello, everybody. I'm assuming that the table topics minutes are the same as they are from Pinnacle. And there are 2 minutes, 30 seconds for the, 3 minutes for the red, 2 minutes, 30 seconds for the yellow, and the green is 1 minute.
So it's 1 minute for the green. It's
1 minute for the green.
Yes. 1.5 minutes for the yellow.
2.5 yellow and 3 for the red.
No, it's 2 for the red.
2 minutes red.
That's correct.
2.5 yellow.
think it's 1.5 yellow, 1 minute, 1.5 minute, and 2 minutes.
1.5 yellow, 1 minute green.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, thank you so much. At 1 minute, I will hold up green. At 1.5 minutes, I will hold up yellow. And at 2 minutes, I will hold up red. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you. Thank you, Christine. Next, let's have our grammarian Pritam explain the grammar rules for us.
Right. Apart from staying within time, you also have to use the word of the day if you want to win the table topics contest, for which you get bragging rights for winning this contest tonight. The word of the day tonight is escapade. As you can see above us, it means an act or incident involving excitement or something daring. To use it in an example sentence, we are planning a hiking escapade for the Memorial Day weekend. So be sure to use this word when you are giving your answers to Hunan's questions to win the table topics contest tonight. Back to you, Hunan.
Thank you, Pritam. So let's get started. Who wants to be the first volunteer? Raise your hands. Okay, Ajita. So the first, so Ajita, once the pandemic terminates and you say you can go anywhere in the world tomorrow, where are you going to go and have fun?
Thank you, madam. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. That's a wonderful question because I'm already planning my escapade once all these restrictions are over. One place which I would definitely want to go first as soon as the restrictions are done is the redwood forest on the west coast, where me and my husband are planning to actually stay in the big redwoods, the houses made inside the big redwood trees. So that's something I have always been fascinated with tree houses, and we have had different experiences with the tree houses till now. Some place where we actually had a guest cat who came uninvited and stayed with us on the tree house, and some others were really nice, but the redwood tree one is the one which I'm really looking forward to. I did check some pictures and it looks so interesting. I can't imagine how a big tree can be converted into a house to stay in. So that's going to be my next escapade. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Ajita. So who wants to be the next?
Karen.
Oh, Karen, yeah. So Karen, my question to you is, can you share the most unforgettable experience that you had in a journey or a travel that you had? Can you share with us the most unforgettable experience that you had in a journey?
Okay. Table Topics Master, Toastmasters, and guests. That would be my travels throughout Colorado. The reason why I can say that is I can remember a time when I was a kid. We were in a rental car and we were traveling throughout Colorado. And I was playing with my strawberry shortcake dolls. And I was driving my dad crazy because he didn't understand why the car was starting to smell different smells. He thought it was the rental car. It was me. No, it's just me playing with the dolls. And the other experience that I had was I got to go horseback riding in Colorado, and I also got to go to Boogie's Diner and see where my cousin's autograph is because he plays soccer and he got to put an autograph in that diner. And I also got to meet John Denver in person. So that was my experience. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Karen, for sharing. Timer, do we have time for one more? Christine, do we have time for one more?
Yes, go for it.
Okay. Who wants to be the next? Let me who wants to be next? If no volunteer, I'm going to pick. Okay. Oh, Bhakti. Yeah. Bhakti, say I'm a new tourist to the USA. I haven't been to any place. Can you recommend me a place that I should go or a trip that I should take?
The best trip that I can recommend for someone who is also broke, like myself, is RIT itself has a very beautiful trail. And if you go during the fall season, one of the, I would say the best season of them all. So you don't even need much effort. It's its own escapade on its own. You just walk through the trail that RIT has to offer, and you get to see so many wonderful colors that the nature has to offer. That is, I would say, the broke version of one of the travels that you can take if you ever happen to come here in Rochester. I'm pretty sure there are buses available that are connecting to RIT, and it costs maximum $1. If you want to spend some money, New York has so many mountains to offer, and living in a mountain is its own experience. So I recently went to Adirondack. I invested a lot of money there, but it turned out to be an excellent journey. I would highly recommend it. There are lots and lots and lots of places within Adirondack to be visited. But the best part about that mountain is the community that lives in that mountain. You don't find such communities in, I would say, in cities, basically. The community there is very strong. Everyone knows everyone, and that is also something worth experiencing. So I hope that answers your question, Mr. Toastmaster. Back to you.
Thank you, Bhakti. Kristen, do we have time for one more?
Go for it.
Okay. Who wants to be the next? Oh, Pritam. Okay. Pritam, people say that life is a kind of long journey. That can you share with us something that at the beginning you feel struggled and you kind of want to give up, but finally you made it and it turned out it's very meaningful, it's very valuable to you at the end?
What a deep question, Huna. There is so much I can talk about it. So many topics going through my mind right now. I don't know which one to talk about. So I will talk about something that I do for an escapade every day. It is sitting, learning how to be still. Right? Some people call it meditation. I started that practice about 5 years ago. I was going through a lot of struggles in my life. My father was sick, and I was lonely in a country where I did not speak the language. And even after I came back, I found out that I could not connect to my friends. So I thought that all these wild thoughts that are going to my mind, I need to be okay with that. I need to learn how to face my fears, not from always from the outside. It is always very helpful to have a good friend, but also have the self-assurance from inside that I can be alone with those thoughts and be okay and be happy. I started the practice of meditation. Initially, I joined a group. The first time I went to the group, I saw that those people were meditating for 3 hours. I sat there with the group, 3 minutes. I sat there. After 3 minutes, I was done. I said, these people, I was just looking at these people, they're sitting there with closed eyes for 3 hours. Don't they get bored or fall asleep? Why are they doing this? And as I kept on continuing to do that, the 3 minutes went up to 5 minutes, then to 10 minutes, then to 1 hour. And over 5 years, now I practice meditation 3 hours once a week. And it has become such a wonderful time that I can spend with myself, alone with my thoughts. So that is a struggle that I overcame. And back to you, Hunan.
Thank you, Pritam. And we are running late for time. Back to you, Kelly.
Thank you, Hunan. And Bhakti shared the 4. You can vote for one. Did everyone use the word of the day? Pritam?
I did not hear Karen use the word.
Okay. Speaker 1 was Ajita, and then number 3 was, what was it? Oh no.
It was me.
Thank you, Bhakti. I'm not seeing this chat screen. And number 4 was Preetham. So if you could vote and then send that out. And was everyone within the time, Chris?
For table topics, we had 4 people. 1 minute, 8 seconds was the first person. Karen, 1 minute, 36 seconds. The third person, 1 minute, 49 seconds. And Preetam, 2 minutes, 13 seconds. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. Sounds like everyone made the time limit. Thank you for leading that, Hunan. And the president, or no, I will get to announce who the winner is at the end of our evaluation section. So the next section is our evaluations, and our general evaluator tonight is doing double duty. It will be Ajita. And I asked Ajita the same thing about a favorite trip that she has taken, a favorite road trip. And she responded that she went last year, she traveled to Arcadia National Park from Boston. And she said it was such a scenic drive with amazing friends as company. They also did some great hikes there and saw the July 4th fireworks at Bar Harbor. Sounds like a wonderful escapade. So, Ajita, if you could lead our next section.
Thank you, Kelly, for that wonderful introduction. After sending you the note, I realized it was the year before last year, because last year it just happened and I don't count it. So I'll be leading the evaluation section today. Just to give a brief intro about the evaluation section, first we'll go through the evaluation for the prepared speeches where our evaluators evaluated all our speakers. Then I'll be getting the reports from our functionaries. And after that, I'll be giving my evaluation of the overall meeting tonight. So with that, the first evaluator is Alex, evaluating Bhakti. Alex, can you please give us the evaluation of the wonderful speech given by Bhakti tonight?
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and our most welcome guests, especially Bhakti. Thank you for this speech tonight honoring Sarah. It definitely captured so much of what makes Sarah the wonderful friend and mentor that she is to you and to the club. I especially liked the organization of your speech, that it was very clear that I could almost feel sort of the heading, and then these are the pieces underneath that heading, and pieces underneath that heading, so that we always understood where your speech was going. And that's always a great tool with your organization, that we always kind of understand what's happening and where you're going with the speech. With such a short speech, sometimes it's tempting to jump all over the place to try to get everything in. So that was well done. I also liked that when you talked about each of the things that make Sarah who she is, you also talked about how it impacted you. That you talked about how Sarah is an excellent Toastmaster, but that she encouraged you to give your first speech. That you talked about how she's a bookworm, and that helped you finish 1984. You talked about how she practices gratitude and how that impacted you. That we get to know about her and about the way that her life has changed your life, which is really wonderful. You also incorporated the word of the day, which was really great. One thing that I think would take this speech to the next level, though, is that there's always an opportunity to introduce some vocal variety and some dialogue. That you mentioned that she has just the right words to say to encourage you to give your next speech or to in your next role. And to add a little bit of dialogue in there would have been one way to do that. Or even just finding ways to add a few more pauses and a few more high notes in your speech so that there's a little bit more variety. I noticed that with that structure, that you sort of had that same, that this is the heading and this is the next thing. So that's great for organization, but it can, with the vocal variety, turn a bit repetitive. So adding a little bit more vocal variety can help with that repetition of the structure. All in all, this was a wonderful speech. I think it really captures a lot of what makes Sarah great. I think that you have an opportunity to add more vocal variety and inflection and body language, to add variety into your speech, but with the organization, it was clear we always knew where you were going. And so it was a wonderful speech. Thank you for it. Madam and General.
Thank you for that wonderful evaluation, Alex. It's always fun to listen to the evaluations given by our seasoned Toastmasters. We get to learn so much from them. Our next evaluator for tonight is Ruchi, and Ruchi will be evaluating Hassan. Ruchi, can you please give your evaluation about Hassan's speech on this project tonight?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. And Hassan, it was a hilarious speech. I will start with the beginning. Your title is my project, and now it is forever your title. No one else can say my project because my project is Hassan's project. And that was funny. You had a great beginning, moon going to Niagara Falls. You had your virtual background set. You didn't take much time in the transition. That was wonderful. You had that all set up in front of you. And your planning sounded hilariously sincere. it was a project as mundane as planning a trip with friends for fun, but you made it look like such a heavy task, which it is, because you have to plan it 2 weeks before, because you know that there are going to be cancellations. So you kept that contingencies in mind. That was great. And you explained a lot of leadership, what goes on behind the scenes, the leadership structure, delegation, also well in your speech. So your structure of speech was great. You described people, Nit and Gina, who they are and why they were going to do what they were going to do because of their character. So that was a great description of the people. And you also took into consideration the things that could go wrong and how you would counter them. Your message was clear at the end, that how a proper leadership is required to carry out any plan, as small as planning a trip with friend to as big as $1 million project. One thing that, two things that I noticed that can maybe add to your next speech. I was wondering that you finally made it to Niagara Falls. So what happened in the morning, like the morning you drove to Niagara Falls? What did it look like? Was everyone on time? Did anyone have any issues? Or did you have to stop a car to make sure that the other car was following you? The fun things, like what happened? So that could have added more juice to your story. And you mentioned your conversation with Will. So I was looking at the evaluation form, and all of those things were excellent except the vocal variety. If you could share what kind of things you were discussing, what were the topics? So you mentioned Civil War to Cold War and all those things. So maybe a dialogue like Alex mentioned, to have that component included in your speech, because there are a lot of people in your speech. So to make that differentiation between each of those people. Other than that, your speech was funny, impactful, and excellently structured. Back to you, Ajita.
Thank you, Ruchi, for that extensive evaluation. I'm sure Hassan can definitely build on some of those points and would love to see where his project landed after that. With that, let's move on to our third evaluation. Our third evaluator is Deb, evaluating Destin's speech. Deb, can you tell us more about your evaluation of Destin's speech tonight?
Yes, I'd love to. Destin, Toastmasters, and guests. Wow, your grandmother, she sounded like a firecracker. That she had tons of her own stories around tons of different escapades she's had. That's the only way I could imagine her having as much courage as she did. I'm so grateful that you were able to just thank her tonight. And I'm sorry you didn't have that opportunity years ago, but it sounds like she was a really honorable woman. And I'm grateful that we were able to hear more about her. So to get into the actual evaluation part, I thought your body language was fantastic. You did a great job using your hands to tell the story more, because you only got this little box to work with. I noticed doing things like, doing shooting gestures to the spinning gesture to, loud. You did a really good job of just sharing and almost accentuating the story with your hands. With your vocal variety, I think you've grown a lot in this area. You have such a calming voice. I thought you did a wonderful job at speaking up, enunciating. We were able to follow along very easily. I think we were all just so enthralled with, what did your grandma say? Like, I kind of wish we had known, like, what did she say? I guess it's the only piece I would really love to have heard your thoughts of what do you think she said? Do maybe your parents know what she said? I'm so fascinated. What could she have said that stopped soldiers in their tracks? She would have been a powerful woman. And your pace, I think you've grown a great deal in your pace and being able to pause after you say something like the rebel sauce. And then my grandma took her courage and went outside and talked to them. That makes a story that much more attention grabbing, because I think we're all at the edge of our seats like, what happened? But thank you so much for sharing your story of your grandmother. I'm sure she's looking down on us. She's feeling honored by who you are and how far you've grown, and just being able to share this piece of lineage. Great job with vocal variety, your body language, and your pace. It really just put exclamation points, commas, all of that wonderful stuff we see in writing, and just made the story come more to life. We look forward to hearing more of your stories.
Thank you, Deb, for that beautiful evaluation of beautiful speech given by Destin tonight. With that, we'll move on to the next section of evaluation, that is getting the reports from all our functionaries. I would like to call upon our first functionary, our timer, Christine, to give us the timer report for tonight. And thank you for stepping up on the last minute as timer.
Yes, you are so welcome. You're looking for the evaluation times
and also the speaker times.
Okay, for the speeches, I'm very sorry, I do not know how to pronounce your names. The first person that did their speech was 3 minutes, 45 seconds. The second person, Hansen, his time was 4 to 7 minutes. He was a little over 7 minutes, 31 seconds. And Dustin, 4 minutes, 17 seconds. Now you are looking for the evaluation times?
Yeah.
For Alex, his evaluation time was 2 minutes, 45 seconds. Ruchi was 3 minutes, 15 seconds. And Deb's 2 minutes, 50 seconds. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thank you, Chris. Our second functionary for tonight is our grammarian, Preetham. Preetham, can you give us your grammarian report for tonight?
Starting with our prepared speeches, there are some wonderful uses of grammar. Bhakti used the term Sarah is a knitting queen. Then for Bhakti's speech, she used a series of adjectives to describe Sarah: generous, caring, funny, knowledgeable. So I was very impressed at how you could use so many adjectives in series one by one. Was one funny use of language: finish half a tablecloth in a blink of an eye. Hassan, loved the title of your speech, like Ruchi said, My Project. That's a very simple and unique title. Nobody could have imagined to use that title. Destin, that was a wonderful story. Really enjoyed the story and how powerful woman your grandmother was. One correction, you mentioned a sentence, provide food on the table. I think the correct idiom is put food on the table. Then Ruchi, for evaluation, you use something called hilariously sincere. That was a wonderful use of grammar. Deb, while evaluating Destin's speech, you used your grandmother sounded like a firecracker. And mostly everybody, all table topic speaker and some speakers use the word of the day. Dev also used it, saying tons of escapades during her evaluation. So that's my report. Back to you, Bhakti.
Thank you, Preetham, for that report. Our last functionary tonight was the R counter. That was me. So I will give my R counter report for tonight. I just realized that playing multiple roles is not easy. And maybe the speakers were really good tonight, or I did not do a great job at counting the R or ums. I did notice some where the first speaker, Bhakti, had a couple of R's and ums in the speech as well as in the table topic. For the second and third speaker, Hassan and Destin, I didn't catch any filler words. For the table topics, I was the first table topic. I did catch a couple of R's which I used, and Karen and Preetham used none of the filler words. Evaluations, Ruchi, I did capture some R's and no filler words from other two evaluators. And our Toastmaster, I captured some ums for Kelly. That was all for the R counter report. Now I would like to give a general evaluation of our meeting tonight. We had a great team. Hit the road was the theme, and we hit the road. The meeting started a bit late with some bumpy rides initially, but we did reach the highway and we were full-fledged in our meeting, where we had absolutely wonderful speeches tonight, the prepared speeches. We had 3 guests, and we also had the guest step up for some of the roles where some of our club members could not show up. Kudos to you for doing that. And thank you for joining our club for this meeting. And I think Yunan, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, you had the first role tonight, table topics for the first time. It was great. You did a wonderful job in organizing different questions and encouraging guests and club members to participate. Overall, great meeting. I would encourage from next time onwards, let's try to keep our BP education updated if we are not able to make it to the meeting, so that we can arrange some substitutes beforehand. But overall, great meeting. Back with that, I'll give it back to our Toastmaster for tonight, Kelly.
Thank you, Ajita, and a big kudos to you for taking on those 2 roles. That is huge, and we thank you for stepping up. I have the privilege of announcing tonight's table topics winner. So if we could have a drum roll, please. Preetham. Congratulations. We'll let Ruchi give you some chocolate for your escapade of a hike this weekend. Woo. With that, my role for tonight is concluded, and I will hand it over to our president, Bhakti.
Thank you, Kelly. We had a wonderful meeting tonight, and it's great to see members of other club joining our club tonight. Not only that, but stepping up for the role of timer. Christine, I really appreciate you volunteering to do the roles. But I also want to give a shout out to Ajita and Hassan, who picked up 2 roles tonight, which is not very easy to do, because I have done that I have done it myself in the past, so I know how difficult it can be. But they still volunteered, so I really appreciate your efforts. I was hoping to hear some feedback from the club members who have joined from other clubs. I'll start with Karen. Karen, what did you think about our meeting tonight?
It's nice to be back again. I do miss seeing you guys. It's always good to come back. I thought it was a great meeting. You guys all did a great job. Thanks for having me again, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Back to you, President.
Thank you, Karen. Next, I would like to hear from Christine. Christine, what did you think of our meeting tonight?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me be a guest. Thank you for having me be a timekeeper. I enjoyed it very much, despite the fact that I did not know your timing rules. I felt your meeting was on a roll of escapades to many different other Toastmaster meetings. And everybody was organized and happy and smiling and working together. And I felt it was a super awesome time. Thank you so much for having me be a guest and the timekeeper. Back to you, Madam President.
Thank you, Christine. You are welcome to join our meetings anytime you like. We have our meetings every Wednesday at 7:30. I just have two announcements. One is that we have a member called Rich who belongs to the MCC Toastmasters Club, and he is hosting a Memorial Day party. I'll be sending out details about this party in an email, but don't worry about social distancing and stuff like that. They are following COVID-19 protocols. So if you want to have good time this Memorial Day, I'll send out the details and you can join Rich on his party this Monday. The second announcement that I have is that the elections will be happening 2 weeks from today. So if you're interested to join the e-board, please let Hassan know about it. And any member can be a part of e-board. It doesn't matter which level of your pathway you are at. It's a great initiative to build up your leadership skills. So I would encourage all the members, please join the e-board for the next term and let Hassan know which position you're interested in. Also, if you want to participate in any roles or want to give any speeches, also let Hassan know since he is the VP of our club. With that, I would say great meeting tonight, and I would conclude tonight's meeting. Thank you everyone for joining tonight.